A Plaguelands Media production.
Hey everyone, this is Hugh from Plaguelands Media bringing you another book review today. So cheers. This time we're drinking some delicious South Korean beer, Cass. Now, today I'm bringing you another Richard Laymon book. I recently reviewed The Woods Are Dark, which was book one in this two-book set. This is the Richard Laymon Collection, Volume 2. The second book is called Out Are the Lights, and it is basically a novella with a series of short stories kind of following it. I read Out of the Lights in high school. To be perfectly honest with you, I had forgotten that there were short stories attached to this book. I did remember the plot of Out of the Lights, thoroughly enjoyed it my second time reading it. The short stories are typical Richard Laymon short stories. If you're familiar with them, you're going to love them. They are very reminiscent of his writing style with gore and mutilation and sex and all of that other good stuff. So I'm just going to get straight into this. I'm not going to spoil any of the short stories in this introduction. It's a book of short stories. You just go out and read it in a day. But I will be giving an overview of each story in the next episode. However, what I do want to say about Out Are the Lights before I go into that is there is not a weak story in this collection. They are all pretty solid. If I was going to pick my least favorite, it would be a toss-up between Bad News and The Tub, and you will see why when I get into the next part of this review. But they are all kind of fun. They're all pretty solid. There are some standout gems, which I will talk about. But yeah, Richard Laymon's Out of the Lights and Other Stories. So if you don't want these spoiled, go and watch another video. They're all freaking good. But if you don't mind having these short stories spoiled, stick around for the next episode of
Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. Read a fucking book. People.
Now, the novella has a lot of characters in it, but a really simple premise. And the premise is basically these people are making these short snuff films, dubbing over the voices, and then showing them at this cinema called the Haunted Palace, kind of between two classic horror films. They always star the same actor, this guy called Shrek, which is obviously a homage to Shrek from Nosferatu. So we have a main character in this girl called Connie. Now, a few years ago, Connie was with her boyfriend and they were attacked. She was hit in the back of the head and she lost her hearing. But that doesn't stop her living a full life. Now, she is, at the moment, living with this guy called Dal. And Dal tells her that he is going to go and watch a movie. And she was like, oh, okay, do you want me to come? And he's like, no, well, you can come if you want to. And she kind of senses something's not right. So she basically says, don't worry about it. Dal is, in fact, going to the house of this woman that he met at his work. She came in as a customer. This woman called Elizabeth, who is apparently drop dead gorgeous. Now, Elizabeth has a secret agenda for getting Dal over. She's married to this guy called Harold, who she lets Dal know that he is just a very abusive husband. So they have sex, and then Dal realizes that Harold's in a wheelchair just watching them. It creeps him out, but ultimately he doesn't care. Then we switch to this couple at the movie theater, Pete and Britt. Now, Britt is kind of missing her best friend. Her best friend has kind of moved away and has gone to stay in this shared accommodation house with this other woman. So during the movie, Pete is realizing that Britt is like really clingy and needy. He doesn't like that. And so he ultimately decides, I'm just going to dump her and not see her. Now, when the short film comes on in the middle of these two movies, Britt looks at the screen and realizes, holy fuck, that's my friend up there that is being fucking tortured, raped, and ultimately killed. So when she gets home, she calls the house where her friend is supposed to be staying, and the woman is giving her the runaround. Oh, no, she's just stepped out for a bit. Oh, she's in the shower, blah, blah, blah. So the next day, Britt decides, I'm going to go up there and I'm going to see what the fuck is going on. Should I call Pete? Now, she should have called Pete because Pete is a private investigator. But she doesn't. She goes up there and she is ultimately taken in by this woman, drugged, and she's going to appear in a later film. Connie realizes Dal is cheating on her and tells him to fuck off. She meets Pete, and they kind of hit it off a little bit, and she tells him the backstory of how she lost her hearing. She decides to go to the cinema, and while this is going on, Dal realizes Pete is sleeping with her and tries to get back in her good graces and tries to kind of mess with Pete by using Elizabeth to act as Pete's wife that comes to Connie and says, hey, I'm pregnant with his baby. Can you just leave him alone? And he was like, Pete's like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about. This is all bullshit. They don't break up or anything. So Dal and Elizabeth decide to hatch this plan. And one night, Pete is leaving Connie's house and they run him down and put him in a coma. Connie is absolutely distraught. She sees that it was Dal and Elizabeth, but she goes to the hospital. The people are like, listen, he's in a coma. He's not going to know you're there. Just go home, have a rest, come back during visiting hours. She oversleeps, decides, I'll just go back tomorrow. I'm going to go to the movies. She goes to the movies, sees the short film, that's the snuff film, and realizes that the voice, like what the woman is saying, isn't what is being said in the film itself. Because she can read lips, she can't hear the dialogue, but the woman who is Brit is going, they're going to kill me, blah, 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 you got to help me, someone call the police. And Connie freaks out and gets a guy, and they race out into the lobby, and they get the head of the theater, and the head of the theater goes, oh, shit. All right, let's go up to the projectionist, get him to stop the film, I'll call the police. So they go up to the projectionist, but the projectionist is in on it. The projectionist is, in fact, Shrek himself, and the guy is killed, and Connie is kidnapped to be used in the next film. She manages to escape her captors, gets back to the hospital where Pete has woken up. Everything is happy except for Dal and Elizabeth. And at the end of the novella, I should say, Connie and Pete kidnap Dal and Elizabeth and are getting all set to kill them, which was a kind of dumb plot twist, but the whole novella worked really, really well. The scenes were graphic and gory. The snuff film was described really, really well. Overall, thoroughly enjoyed it. Going to take a short intermission here, and then we'll come back to the rest of the short stories that are in this collection. Okay, sorry for that brief intermission, but let's get right back into this review. Now, along with Out Are the Lights, there are 5 other short stories in this collection. The first, of course, being Mess Hall. Now, this is a very, very basic horror story. This guy and this girl have decided, you know what, the guy's horny, let's go fuck in a park. Which they do. But while they're mid-coitus, they are chanced upon by this man who is known as the Reaver or something, one of those stupid serial killer names. He shoots the guy in the head and he kidnaps the girl. And he drives her out into the middle of nowhere at this place he calls his mess hall. She's going to be his 8th victim. He's already killed 7 women. So he drives her out there. They're talking back and forth, having a conversation. He handcuffs her to a tree and he tells her the reason it's the mess hall is because I do stuff to the women, then I kill them, and then my coyote friends come and eat the body so there's no evidence. So while he is explaining this, the dead women start to crawl out of the forest. And they're in all stages of decomposition and they've been eaten and their guts are hanging out, all this kind of stuff. And they attack the serial killer. The serial killer fights back, but to no avail. The girl realizes that she's in trouble. She climbs up into the tree with the handcuffs on, falls out of the tree, fights some zombies, goes to run away, realizes, wait a minute, I'm the 8th victim here, gets a rock, smashes his head even though he's already dead, and then he runs off to her car. That's it. That's the story of Mess Hall. Okay, Dinker's Pond. Dinker's Pond is one I really, really enjoyed. It starts off with this prospector telling someone a story. Now, that story is about how he and his best friend, Jim, I think his name is George, they've just got this claim. This is the Wild West. They've just got this claim to mine for gold. A woman called Susan sees them coming out of the claims office and latches onto Jim and they start a relationship. George is suspicious of her, but Jim wants her to come along and George is like, you know, this is a really, really bad idea. The last time this happened, it was the wife of this notorious bank robber who hunted them down and killed them all in the most horrific way possible. Jim's like, yeah, I don't care. So they go to their claim, and Susan, all the while, she fucking hates George, and she's just bitching to Jim about how George is a liar with his stories and all this kind of stuff. Jim doesn't seem like the smartest person, but he's still kind of sweet at heart. They get to the claim, and they have this little shack, and Susan's like, you know what? Unacceptable. He can hear us having sex. Not doing it. And so the next day, Jim goes out to cut down trees to build her own little home. And George goes and starts mining for gold. Doesn't find any. He's thinking about Susan. He's kind of infatuated with her. Apparently she's really good looking and he's seen her partly naked. So he kind of knows, oh, you know, I might want to tap that, but Jim's my best mate. So he goes back to the shack, but she's not there. And he looks around for her and he finds her washing herself in Dinker's Pond. And he sits down on a rock and she's like, you fucking pervert, stop looking at my titties. But he was like, yeah, you should get out of the water. And she's going, yeah, no. I'm not gonna get out of the water. Because you're just gonna perv on me. He goes, no. This used to be our fishing hole. And then we killed a guy here and now we don't get any fish. And she's like, oh, this is one of your bullshit stories. And he goes, no, seriously, there was this guy who used to live around here in the woods and he would eat anything. He would just catch squirrels and birds and eat them. And it didn't matter what it was. He would eat them. He sharpened his teeth down to points. And one day we got back from a dig and he was eating one of our mules. Not acceptable, so we strung him up by that tree over there. We hung him, and what happened was We did it wrong. And as his body swung out, the rope went tight. His head came off. The body landed, but the head rolled into the pond. That's why we call it Dinker's Pond. The guy's name was Clem Dinker. And after a while, the fish just started turning up dead because, he used to eat everything. So you might want to stay out of the pond. And she's like, oh, what a lot of bullshit. And she goes deeper and deeper and deeper. And then she starts feeling something biting her. And then blood starts to froth up. And George is like, you know what? I could go save her, but she's a bit of a bitch. So, yeah. And he just watches her die. Now, we find out that he is actually talking to a woman, and he's in a saloon, and he's trying to get this woman to go on his next dig with him. And she goes, well, what happened to Jim? And George goes, well, Jim came back, thought I'd killed her, and attacked me, so I had to shoot him. And then she's like, what about the head? And he goes, well, that woman must have been filled with poison, because a few days later I found Clem's head floating on the surface of Dinker's Pond, and it was just all black around his mouth. And that is the whole story. This is one of the better stories in this collection. I thought it was very well written, and I loved it. Madman Stan was kind of cool. Madman Stan is about these two kids that are being babysat by a bitch. Their parents have gone out for the night, and their regular babysitter's on a date. So their babysitter is just, go to bed. And they're like, but it's Saturday. We're allowed to start till 11. She's like, nope, go to bed. Fuck you. Then she goes, listen, I will tell you a story before you go to bed. And that story is about this character called Madman Stan. Madman Stan is this serial killer who wanders around neighborhoods, and he tests if the doors are unlocked. And if they're unlocked, he goes into the house, and those people are never seen again. And the kids kind of freak out about this because she says he likes little boys the most. And so they go to bed, and she was like, I don't want to hear a word out of you, but they're whispering in their bedroom. They share a room together. And she bursts in and she goes, you know what? That's it. I'm unlocking the fucking door. And then when Madman Stan gets here, he's going to take you. And the two kids start freaking out. And one of them is crying in his bed, and his brother is like, you know what? I want to check to see if she unlocked the door. So he sneaks downstairs, sneaks through the kitchen. She's asleep on the sofa. He sneaks past her, and he tests the door, and it's not unlocked. And he's like, I fucking knew it. Then the kids have barricaded their bedroom door. The father is yelling like, where are they? Where are they? And they open the door, and one of them has pissed himself and whatnot. And the father's like, what happened to the babysitter? She's gone. Her glasses were here. And the mother comes up, and the father's like, no, they're okay. They're okay. And the brother that tested the door says, Madman Stan got her. But he doesn't tell the parents that he was the one that unlocked the locked door. So that was pretty fun little story. Okay, now we get to the two worst ones. Bad news is just fucking weird. This guy goes out to get his paper in the morning, puts it on the table in his house, and it starts to move, and he's like, what the fuck? And then this little kind of rat monster comes out and tries to attack him. And he's trying to fight this thing off. This thing is very, very aggressive. And he's just about to hit it with a poker when their cat comes out to attack it. Hence, I'm wearing my Cat Father t-shirt. And he's like, all right, go get him. It's not a mouse, but kill him anyway. So the cat grabs this thing and eats it, and then starts to have convulsions, falls down on the ground, and this creature has chewed its way out of the cat's butthole, so is now covered in blood and shit as well. The father tells his wife, get the kid, put him in the car, go next door, or call the police, something, and the father's trying to fight this thing off. The wife puts their son in the car, runs next door to their redneck neighbor, and looks in the window. The redneck neighbor is dead. So she's like, oh, shit. She breaks into his house, and he's got a ton of guns, and she picks up a shotgun just as one of these fucking monsters is coming for her, and she blows it the fuck away. As she's doing this, Her husband has raced up the stairs and has locked himself in the bathroom, and this thing is kind of chewing through the door. The wife comes back just as this thing has latched onto his arm, and it's kind of bitten his left arm, and he's grabbed it in the right arm, and she's had to shoot the lock off the bathroom door, and he's like, shoot it, shoot it. She's like, what about your hand? He's like, I don't fucking care, let's just kill it. And she goes to shoot it, and it's just click, because she didn't reload. And he's like, reload the fucking gun. She's like, with what? You're like, you fucking idiot. And so he just gets the thing, he bites its head off, spits it on the ground, and then vomits on it. And then they decide to go next door where all the guns are and hole up there, because as they are picking up the boy, all they can hear is screaming, gunshots. They see a woman being attacked by one of these things on the street, and sirens and whatnot. So it's an implied bad news that all of these things were delivered in newspapers, which, yeah, I don't know. And the last story is The Tub. The Tub is about this woman, Elizabeth. I think her name is Elizabeth. Let me just check. I'm pretty sure it was Elizabeth. I just read this story. Tub can... Joyce. I'm sorry, her name is Joyce. Joyce is married to Harold. Harold is a successful horror author who has just been nominated for a Bram Stoker Award, which is an actual real thing. But Joyce thinks he's a fucking weenie. Joyce is having an affair with this bodybuilder called Ken. Now, she invites Ken over because Harold's away in New York to accept his award. And she sets it up. The door's going to be unlocked. And she wants him to find her in the tub. Now, she wanted a different bathtub, but Harold wanted this tub because apparently some silent movie star slit her wrists in it. It's this giant tub on gold legs and whatnot. So she prepares herself. She has all these mirrors in the bathroom, on the ceiling, and on all the walls. And she's waiting for Ken, and she's getting all horny, and then Ken comes in, and he's naked, he's covered in oil, and he's doing this bodybuilding routine. I guess that's what bodybuilders do. And she's like, just he's teasing her and everything, and she's like, just get in here and fuck me. Now, this is a lot of titillation for a payoff that is... It reminded me a lot of Gerald's Game by Stephen King, but just in a more condensed, weirder version. So Ken gets in the tub, trying to work out. He doesn't want to crush her because he's huge. So he says, take the water out, and then they start having sex. And just as they're doing it, she hits her head, sees lights, and when she kind of comes to, Ken is dead on top of her, and she can't get out of this giant bathtub. This happens on the Friday, and Harold is supposed to come back on Sunday night. So she has to spend all that time underneath this guy. She tries everything to get him off. And I'm not sure if you know this fact, but when somebody dies, their bowels loosen. So she's got to put up with Ken's shit. Also, she's been in this tub for a while, so she has to use the bathroom toilet as well. So it starts to stink. He's decomposing. And she's just hoping that Harold comes back, that he doesn't stay any longer. Harold does come back on the Sunday, and he finds her. And she's like, you've got to help me. And he's like, yeah, okay. And he leaves, and he flies to Maui for a week, and he just reads horror novels that his friends have written and ogles women but doesn't do anything about it. And after a week, he comes back expecting to find her dead. And he goes into the bathroom, and there's just body parts everywhere. He sees a jaw, part of a head, intestines hanging over the bathtub, hands, arms, the whole lot. And then Joyce comes in, and she goes, Ken had really sharp insides. They really helped a lot getting out from there. And she's looking immaculate. She's like, okay, this isn't working. Let's talk about settlement. I want the house. You can keep the tub. And that's the end of the story. It was more titillation than anything else, but it was kind of a fun read. So that was Richard Laymon, Out Other Lights and Other Stories. Of course, I enjoyed this book. I've enjoyed Richard Laymon since high school. He's not the best author by any stretch of the imagination, very amateurish, but still a lot of fun. The stories are great. They are stupid horror. Think movies like Creepshow 2, that kind of a thing, those anthology horror movies. That's the sort of stuff Laymon is writing. Not a lot of depth to the characters, but in a novella and short story collection, you don't really need that. You can just kind of run with it. So that is it. I do recommend reading some Richard Laymon, even if you just read one and you decide you hate it. At least you can make up your own mind. So hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, like, subscribe, leave a comment, do all that YouTube stuff. If you have friends that you think would enjoy, please recommend the channel to them. We would like some more subscribers. We are at 590 last I checked, which is still fantastic. I'm appreciative of every one of you little Plaguelandians out there. So there you have it. Nothing more to say except stay safe. Have a fantastic rest of your day. And most important of all, read a fucking book, people. The fuck are you still doing here? I told you to go read a book.